Joining me now is women's flyweight contender Erin Blanchfield. Erin, back from Colorado, right? You were out there with Fatima Klein. I know things didn't go her way, but I guess how was Denver, and what are your thoughts on your teammate finally getting a debut?
Yeah, Denver was good. That was actually like the second time I was out there. Fatima, she fought there like a year ago with Invicta. But I think it was a great fight for her. I feel like she was in a win-win position taking that fight. She fought very well. I feel like she was cracking her on the stand-up. And I'm super excited for what she could do at 115. I think even though she didn't get the win Saturday, I think she showed a lot, and I'm super excited for her.
Yeah, for sure. Tough circumstances, up a weight class, short notice against a ranked opponent at elevation. So a lot of things working against her. But outside of Denver, I guess, what have you been up to recently? I feel like we haven't heard much from you since your last fight. I know you've been, not like you're hiding or anything, you're active on social media, but are you back in the gym training at all, kind of gearing things up? I guess, where do you stand in terms of your progression here?
Yeah, no, I've been training pretty much the whole time. I mean, obviously, I took a little bit of time right after my fight just to heal up, but I've been good for a while. I feel pretty good. I definitely do want to get a fight lined up soon, hopefully for like the fall or so. Especially after being out there in Denver and seeing like a Cortez and Rose fight, definitely got me like amped to fight again, and it's something I want to do soon. I would like to fight like someone like Rose, someone that else that's like in the top five. But yeah, just haven't heard anything yet officially.
Yeah. What did you make of that fight with Rose and Tracy? I know you've fought Tracy before, and Rose is somebody you guys have shown a lot of respect for one another in interviews and whatnot. So I guess, were you surprised at all? Was that kind of what you were expecting? What was your take there?
I wouldn't say I was surprised. I feel like I knew it was going to be a tough fight for both of them. They're both like super tough girls. I feel like they had strengths. And I guess the one thing that did surprise me was Rose's takedowns. I feel like she was controlling Tracy pretty well with her takedowns and able to get them pretty smoothly. But she's a super well-rounded fighter. I expected Rose to edge out that fight and get the win. But it was a good fight. I feel like they both showed a lot.
Yeah, and also you were mentioned with the call out as well. Jasmine Jasudavicius, who fought Fatima. I guess, what did you make of that? Is there any interest there? Is it? I know it's kind of fighting backwards in the rankings, but she did just beat your teammate, and she's calling for it. So, what did you make of that call out? And I guess any interest there?
I mean, she's pretty low in the ladder, like 15. I'd rather not go that far back. I mean, if I couldn't get any fights, of course, I'd beat her up, but not what I'm looking for exactly. I'd like to fight someone up higher in the rankings.
Yeah. Let's talk about your last fight a little bit. You went in there, so I know you were excited to fight in New Jersey. Things didn't go your way. I guess, what were your takeaways from that? I guess, what did you learn? What went wrong? How did you handle the loss? Can you just talk to me about all that?
Yeah, I feel like Manon, she did a really good job of sticking to like her game plan, kind of like hitting, moving, hitting, moving. I needed to be, I guess, maybe a little more patient with my striking, find my openings better. They're all things I've been working on. She's a very good fighter. I definitely want to fight her again. I feel like that's something that's obviously inevitable, and I know I can get that win back. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was still great. I was still really happy I got that opportunity to fight in New Jersey, and I hope I can get that again. But yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah, what do you think the biggest things are that, like, when you win a lot, right? You probably learn stuff about yourself, but when you lose, were you able to kind of take more from that? Just being in there with somebody that was able to edge you in rounds and ultimately defeat you.
Yeah, I feel like there obviously is more things to learn when you lose because you obviously did more things wrong than if you got a win. But I think it's also good not to get too like obsessed with it and too wrapped up in it. Like there's things I also did good and things obviously I need to improve on. So there's always things to take away from it. Just not getting too wrapped up in it either at the same time.
Yeah, not having dealt with many losses. I mean, the one that you had on your record before that was very controversial. So to kind of have one that was maybe a little bit more unanimous in terms of the public's opinion and everything, was it difficult at all, the process? Was it weird at all for you? Like, or did you not really take it that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird losing when you're not used to losing. That's something I definitely wasn't used to. I've never lost in the UFC before, so it all kind of sucks. And I feel like losing, no matter what level you're on, always sucks if you're someone that's competitive and someone that really loves it and wants to do well in it. But you really have to take it for what it is. There's things to learn from it. It's not like I walked in there and got like knocked out in like 3 seconds. So there was a lot that I did do good, stuff that I didn't. So yeah, it's just kind of like learning from for any other fight. Obviously, like that night, it like sucked, but I feel like I've gotten over it pretty well. I've been competing like my entire life. So I've lost plenty before. It just hasn't been that often. Like it has been a couple of years since I lost last time. But you just kind of have to keep that same attitude you have as like a kid, just like keep going.
Yeah, and does it make you any more hungry and eager to get back in there to fight again? I know you said your eye on the fall.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, especially now that it's been a while and I feel like I have been training everything I felt like I was lacking in that fight and I've really tried to improve. I would really like to get into camp and like be able to really like feel in shape and like implement all those things that I've been trying to learn and like my sparring and everything. So I'm definitely starting to feel like I want to like antsy for a fight again.
Yeah. Do you think it kind of puts not a target on your back, but I feel like there weren't a lot of people like calling you out before. Now, you had Jasmine, Karine Silva, I think has said that she wants to fight you. There's like a lot of people that seem to be mentioning your name all of a sudden, Macy Barber. So do you feel like at all that maybe it'll be easier for you to find fights or that this puts a target on your back at all?
I like that it puts a target on my back. I don't know if it's necessarily easier because if you want to keep fighting high in the rankings, there's just not as many people. Like Rose and Amacy would obviously be perfect because they're both up in the rankings. But honestly, anyone in the rankings would be great too. But I would definitely like to kind of stay within that title picture. I feel like I'm super close and I'm maybe a couple more wins away. So I definitely like to stay there.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned Rose earlier, like ideal matchup, would she be the one? Like when you look at the division, what makes sense? What gets you towards that title fight again? Do you feel like it's her?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's Rose. I feel like she's a very good fighter, so it's someone great to like test my skills against and get better fighting her. I mean, she's a former champ that could easily be a main event of like a fight night. I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that was your first or your second 5 round fight in the UFC, but your first one where it went all five. So is that something that you hope to like from here on out? Do you want to be a main event fighter? Do you want to get those reps in, kind of emulate a title fight?
Yeah, I'd love to be a main event fighter. I feel like I have great cardio for it. I felt great that entire time, cardio wise. I was just trying to like kind of find my distance. But I would love to be a main event fighter every time.
Yeah, and being in there with Manon, I'm curious what your thoughts are on her. I talked to a coach of somebody that's in the top 10 in your division recently, and he was saying that he felt like she might be the best fighter in that division right now. Like everybody's talking about Alexa and Valentina because they're having the trilogy, but like as somebody that was in there, is it possible that she is the toughest fight in this division?
I could definitely say that. I never fought Alexa or Valentina, so I can't completely speak on that. But she's definitely big for the division. She knows how to fight for like her body type and her style. So I could definitely see her being the champ when she does get to fight for the title. She's definitely in that caliber.
Yeah, and I know Rose and Manon obviously had a pretty close fight there in Paris a couple of years ago, or last year. What did you feel like? What do you feel like maybe you could implement differently against Rose than Manon? Is there, is it just working on the things you need to improve on? Is there a different game plan you'd come in with? What kind of changes would you make from the last fight?
There'd definitely be a different game plan. I'd have to sit down with like my coaches and watch all her fights over and kind of figure out what I want to do with that. But I feel like everything I've been trying to improve on, obviously, would be able to implement in that fight, just getting better overall. Yeah, I mean, she's a completely different fighter. She's a little shorter. She's coming up from 125, so she's not like a huge, coming up from 115, I mean. So she's not a huge 125er. So I think there definitely would be some different strategies leading into that fight.
Yeah, and the Sphere fight between everybody thinks it's going to be Alexa and Valentina, but it seems like Alexa's kind of confirmed she's fighting, and we don't really know what's going on with Valentina. So, have you heard anything about the division at all in terms of kind of what the roadmap is for you? Like, have you had any sort of talks with the UFC about kind of where you fit in this picture?
No, not like officially yet. I know that, yeah, I know Valentina doesn't want to fight in this Sphere. That's what I've heard. But I would be pretty shocked if she didn't take that in order to fight for a title again. Because I have heard Alexa say that like Manon would take her spot if Valentina didn't fight. I mean, if Valentina doesn't end up fighting, I'd love to fight her too. I think that would be a great fight. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going to shake out with all of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess kind of what do you look at the next year or so being like for you? I know you were on that trajectory where you were moving so fast, and so now to obviously like you want another big fight, but I guess trying to stay active. Or do you feel like the title fight could still come like as in 2025, so to speak?
I do think a title shot could come in 2025. I think I do need to get another win or two under my belt against high level fighters like Valentina, Rose, things like that. But I think just getting another win or two, I can definitely be in that title picture again.
Yeah, and I know we've touched on like pretty much everybody in this division, but the one that always gets brought up too is Tracy Cortez. You have that fight against her. I feel like there'd be something that you could gain from it, right? Like you could get that win that a lot of people thought you won actually on your resume now. So is that a fight that you expect to happen at some point? Is there any extra drive because of what happened that first time?
I can definitely see that fight happening again. I would definitely want to get that win back. I mean, that would be really nice. I guess it depends on how it shakes out. If it was another like main event spot or something like that, I would definitely be down for it. But I think it kind of depends how it shakes out.
Yeah, and just given your timeline too, New York, is that something that you would, Madison Square Garden, you're interested in again? I know taxes and stuff are not great there, but it's a big stage, big card. You know, John Jones, Stipe's probably going to headline.
Yeah, taxes are definitely not great, but I did love fighting in MSG last time. And obviously it's close to home and all my family and friends can come, and that it's just obviously an iconic place. It's like I'd love to fight there as much as I could. So if that works out, I'd love to fight in MSG.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hope it all works out. I can't wait to see you back when the time comes. Erin, really appreciate the time as always, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, thank you. You too.